And based on some of the ads the campaigns are releasing, Mamdani's really focused on the cost of living. Cuomo's also focused on affordability in the city as well as crime. Are those issues that are resonating with New York City voters?
They are. So, as you might expect, housing is the top issue. If we take that together with the economy, that accounts for a majority of folks' top issues. So, those have been and will continue to be major issues, both nationally, statewide in New York, and especially in New York City. But I did find it interesting. Crime comes in third place with 19%. That's mostly driven by older voters, and those older voters are the ones who are backing Cuomo. So, I think that there is something to gain there for Cuomo and potentially some of the other candidates on the ballot who are a little bit more pro police, but it shouldn't necessarily help Mamdani here.
Matt, you and I talked at length leading up to the 2024 election, and one of the top issues facing voters then was immigration, and immigration has affected New York City specifically. In recent years, over 200,000 migrants arrived in the city, and Mayor Eric Adams said that it would cost the Big Apple $10 billion over the course of 3 years. So, specifically in New York, how are voters feeling about President Trump's and the administration's policies surrounding immigration?
And New Yorkers are pretty negative towards the Trump administration's policies on deportations in particular. So 50% think that deportations have had a negative impact on the city versus 30% who say it has a positive impact. Again, we're looking a little bit more skewed towards older voters here who think that it has had a positive impact. Same goes for the folks who say that immigration is their top issue. These are primarily older, a little bit more conservative voters. And in terms of the sort of Democratic primary, those voters are going to largely back Cuomo. But as far as immigration having a major influence on the race, I don't think it's going to have much of one. I don't think that the candidates are making it their top issue. And that's fair. And I would not want to be necessarily tied, especially to the Trump administration's deportation policies here.
And as we know, the primary for the New York City mayoral race is on June 24th. So almost a month away. But between now and then, what specifically are you looking out for when it comes to this race?
And I'm going to be looking at that Mamdani number, whether that comes up a little bit in that first choice voting. We have a lot of folks here, though, who don't necessarily have a second choice. So there's going to be a lot to gain from that. The candidates themselves could be out there requesting that voters, even if I'm not your first choice, mark me as your second choice here, because that's going to play a major role. And I think some folks are simply going to skip their second, third, fourth, fifth, etc., because they might not be paying enough attention or not necessarily have strong opinions one way or another on their later choice candidates. But that's going to play a major role. Something else that I found interesting in this poll is that among the folks who say they are very likely to vote, this is a tied race in the final round. It's roughly 51-50% for Cuomo and Mamdani, respectively. So, I think the turnout is going to matter here, especially among sort of that older vote, Cuomo, and then the younger, highly educated vote for Mamdani. This is really anyone's race. We'll be watching it closely.
And we will be watching closely as well. And as you have more polling coming out of it, I hope you can come on and break it down. Matt Taglia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Brittany.